Welcome back to the LFG Energy Podcast. And on today's show, we're going to be talking fashion. And you might stop and say, well, what does fashion have to do with performance? Well, when you think about how it is one of the forces behind generating confidence and how we show up, you know that it's everything to do with LFG Energy. Today, I'm joined by Celeste Moore, a certified image and stylist consultant who helps professionals across the board show up with more presence, clarity, and confidence. She's had years of experience with transforming people from how they see themselves to then being seen by the rest of the world in a totally different light. This conversation goes so far beyond fashion and looks. It's all about energy, identity, and owning your space. So let's get into it. All right, guys, you better be dressed sharp, even though you're listening, because she's not going to be able to see you, but you are going to be hearing from an actually certified style and image consultant today, like the real deal. This is someone I'm really proud to call a friend that I've only met a little over a year ago. So Celeste, thanks for sitting down with me with our busy, crazy schedules here in Las Vegas today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it very much.
Perfect timing.
It was good timing.
Yeah.
Was there a pivotal moment in your life when you or like in your development when you were kind of like this, like people's look and people's style and people's image is where I want to move towards?
So I think for me, the pivotal moment was after I graduated college. The trajectory, my plan was to go to law school. So I was a poli-sci or international studies major. All my friends, let's go, let's go. They all went. And I took a moment because at that time I was really tired. I had done my whole life people pleased. I did it things for other people. And it was the first moment I said, you know what? If I go to law school for 3 years, spend all this money, and then come out and maybe like my job, maybe not. And I said, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stop pleasing my boyfriend at the time or my family or anybody else that thinks that I should do what they want.
Hmm.
I remember, I think it was the first moment in my life. I was 26 when I graduated college. I was a little bit older. And so I started looking, I was like, I need to do something that I'm purpose driven and I'm passionate about, but I didn't know what that was. And so I just kind of started to look at the things that I really enjoyed doing. And ever since I was like 12 years old, I can remember we moved to Boca Raton, Florida. And if nobody knows where that's at, it's a really expensive community in South Florida. And we'd moved there, and my parents, very middle class. So I kind of felt like, that I didn't fit in there. Everybody was driving BMWs and Mercedes. And in my eyes, that was like, those people were rich.
Right.
And so I used to go to the mall like any 12-year-old girl does. And this mall was called Town Center Mall. And I'd go there every weekend and I would see these big, beautiful stores. Of course, there was Bloomingdale's, but there was like Louis Vuitton. And I'd walk into these stores and just like in awe. And I remember my mom, we were going jean shopping, and my mom was like, okay, go into the store, go pick out some jeans, and, we'll meet back up. So I'm like, okay, here, like, I like these. And she looked at the price tag and she was like, these are $70 jeans in 1988. This is like, probably like $250 jeans right now.
Yeah.
And we had a family of 5, and my parents were barely making any money at the time. She says, if you want to buy these jeans, you need to go and get a job. So I went and babysat, and I saved up my $5 an hour.
You're determined.
Yeah, and I went and got them. And for me, you know what it was? It wasn't the money. It wasn't a brand, because I didn't really know brands at the moment. I could spot a good quality piece of clothing.
You just had an eye for it.
Still to this day, I can walk into any store, take the labels off, take what that, where it's at in the world, and I can go find a piece in like 2 seconds if it has good quality, if it's good quality. So that was my first experience, and just going through that process since I was 12 of like dressing people up, really loving it. But I thought, that's just what girls do.
Hmm.
And so it was really my mother, when I was in this discovery phase at 26 years old, and she says, why don't you become an image consultant? And I was like, what's that? And I looked it up. And I was like, oh, so people get paid to dress other people up and make them look good and feel good? And I was like,
Yes,
oh
you
my
do.
God, let's sign me up. So I went to New York. I trained, got certified through a global organization. And that was really the beginning of this process. But that wasn't the beginning of like the discovery phase. So,
And so was it at that point that you became very intentional about how you look and
mm,
how you show up every day in the world?
no,
Okay.
I always wanted to look good and cute in outfits. And I don't know, I think it was just born with some of it.
Mhm.
When I look back. And maybe some of it was a mask. Maybe some of it was like, oh, if I'm put together and presented, then I come across as like everything's good. Maybe I'll make friends. Maybe people will like me. And I think as a young individual, we all do that in some aspects, right?
Yeah.
How do we fit in? How do we make others, pay attention to us?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I'm thinking about my 6-year-old who I was worried for a bit because she is obsessed with how she looks
mm,
and wants to change her shoes. And sometimes they're going, wear this dress. And we're like, dude, you are 6 years old. Like, what do you care?
yeah.
Like, just put this on. But maybe after hearing her story, maybe it's just something like she just has, and this is what she has an eye for. Like, she's just particular
Yeah, I
about
think
it.
it's their identity as children. So my daughter's 18. She started this at 18 months.
Mhm.
She would like hands down, it was a fight if I decided to fight with her, right? You pick your battles. It was like 18 months. She was like, this shoe, this whatever, this dress. And at first I was like, it's cold. Stop wearing dresses. Like, put some pants on. And then I realized that this was her way of expressing herself and the things that she can control at that age.
Mm,
So it's like what they eat and what they put in their bodies, they like it or they don't like it, or how they can dress. And that's really all that they can control at that age. So, it could be she's just a creative and she's expressive and
okay.
yeah,
She'll hear this one day. So,
yeah, it's
yeah,
beautiful.
let's still validate it.
Yeah.
Okay. We were joking around a little bit before we started recording about like, what commercial was it that we always used to hear that I remember hearing, but it was like they'd say at the end, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. How important, and maybe it's not stated enough, but how important are first impressions in the professional or just even in the regular everyday world?
So I love to say this because this is more impactful. First impressions are not the most important. It's your lasting impression.
Hmm. Your
So
lasting impression.
if you and I met for the first time, which we did at one point, right? We had a great conversation starter with my shoes.
Your shoes
And
from Milan.
exactly. You're like, "Oh my god, these are great. My wife would love them."
Yep. That's what
By the way, I thought that was, like, the most beautiful thing that you were like, "Oh, my wife would love those." You don't typically hear that, so, um, when you leave somebody after speaking to them even for a minute, or it could be a very short amount of time, right? You give them a handshake. I hope you look them in the eye and very direct, and you're very intentional with your space. So it's within 3 seconds, we notice color, we notice how we present to the world, and we see body language. But when we're interacting, it's a little bit more in depth, right? So hopefully you're shaking hands properly, looking someone in the eye, and you are open in body language, right? So that's going to let someone be a little bit more vulnerable with them, not just maybe surface level. So when you walk away from that person, your lasting impression, whether you left a good impression or not, right? Whether they feel like they want to give you a call after that 30 seconds you gave to that person. Was it intentional? Did you brush them off? Did you not really shake their hand or really pay attention, even for that moment? So, yes, first impressions are very important, but it's the lasting impression that whether or not they give you a call or whether they don't.
Okay. So look, we all want the call. We all want the win.
Yeah.
And in the essence of this show, which is, LFG energy, like everyone wants to put out their best output, step forward with the right foot first, or left, whatever it might be. Um, how do you see people sabotaging this? In like how did people sabotage that image, that look? And they may not even realize because I'm sure you cringe because you're an expert at this. So you see it, you're like, oh, why did you wear that? But you won't say it.
Yeah.
Maybe your face might show up or something. But yeah, like how do you see people in general sabotaging their look this way?
I think the one mistake, or just in our industry with entrepreneurs and networking, everyone thinks that their voice or their expertise is the thing that gets them in the door. Because really, they are the expert, but they're not translating that on their outer appearance sometimes.
Hmm.
And so, okay, well, just for example, okay, I'm going to put a suit jacket on today. And because it's a suit jacket, I look good, like, people are gonna take me serious, like, I look professional, but that suit jacket might be the wrong color, sending the wrong message. It might be ill fitting. It might be worn because that's all they have is that one jacket that they just wear to every event. It might be beige, like Christo says today,
Mhm.
in the sense that it's not memorable. So I think that when people understand that you're a walking billboard for who you are and your business every time you step into the public eye, whether it's on a Zoom call, whether it's on a podcast,
Right.
on a stage, in a room full of people. I think getting past that, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to say what I say. Let me just give you this statistic.
Okay.
I can't remember. Oh my gosh, you're going to kill me today. Who said this? There was a speaker on stage today that said this 55% of the way that we look matters to people,
Mhm.
but 38% is your body language and your tone. And 7%, only 7% is the actual words that come out of your mouth.
Wow.
And so if you took that percentage of how important it is, because we do so much communicating in body language.
Yeah.
So if you understood how important that is, then maybe you would start to show up a little more intentional.
And when you do work with people,
Mm.
right? Because you work with them in a variety of ways, from maybe style and actual fit to you get more detailed, which is what actually drew me to initially when we were talking. I was learning about your craft, which is colors. And the wrong color can throw everything off for someone, right? And certain colors are right for some people and they're not right for others. For those that are listening now to this, like, what is something that, like, just in terms of like really quick advice that
Mhm.
they could take to heart in terms of color?
Yeah. So I would kind of go do a closet audit and kind of go through your closet and feel what colors are in your closet that represent you or that you feel good when you wear. Right?
Hmm.
Pay attention to kind of those colors because maybe you don't know yet, but maybe that color when you wear that makes you feel confident. If you need a little more confidence. But I would say this is kind of a basic. If you are an extrovert, if you have more yang energy, you kind of just bring the audience, to you because you're just so lively. You can wear brighter colors because that resonates with you.
Hmm.
If you put muted colors or softer colors on someone that was really animated, right? It wouldn't fit the personality. Same as if you're more introverted, a little quieter, maybe you're more of an observer. I don't see you wearing a highlighter color. Why don't you wear something that's a little softer, that's a little bit more about who you are as a personality? So at this point, you don't know what's great for your undertone. You don't know much about it. I would go first on personality.
Okay. And all of us, look, at the end of the day, like, and why this is so important for everyone listening, how we show up is ultimately going to determine a lot of success. I've always thought that, even in my competing days, like,
Mm,
your look and that first impression you made when you entered the ring,
right.
it had an impact on the judges, right? Because humans are visuals. Like, human beings are visual creatures. And so they instantly judge, they look, they're grading from the moment they make an impression with, or they, come into contact with them. So it's super important. Okay. So we've got a lot of professionals that are in our audience. And I want to do like just some quick advice for them coming from somebody like you because you're the expert with this stuff. For people that are on a low budget,
Mm.
right? But they need to do some kind of either whether it's a style audit, take stock, or make some adjustments. What's your advice to someone who's in that position?
Right. Well, I would start with what you have. I always say this, like, go and take stock of what's in your closet. Make sure that every item that you're wearing isn't worn, doesn't have holes in it, right? We kind of get, busy in life and just throw something on, they figure it works. Kind of go through those steps. Then I would suggest if you go buy something, a lot of people can't buy off the rack. It doesn't fit them for some reason because everybody has different body types, right?
Totally, yeah.
So I would invest in a tailor because a tailor is gold when they know what to do. So buy an item that's a little bigger if it fits in the shoulder, just for example. And then they can adjust and alter the arms. Button placement is so easy to do, even the length of a jacket, length of a pant. So always go on the side of bigger if you're like between sizes. Because, when it's ill fitting, even if it's a custom suit and ill fitting, it sends the most unprofessional.
Tragic.
Yeah.
I refer to it as tragic.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
mostly the
or
bankers in my market, I see that.
mm,
I joke about it and I give the bankers like a bad time about it, but I'll say they wear ill-fitted suits.
oh,
So it looks like a kid wearing his dad's suit.
yeah.
The sleeves are too long on the jacket, the pants are so baggy and frumpy. They just like literally took it off the rack, didn't bother getting it tailored. So
Right.
investing in the tailor is a huge thing.
Right.
Is there something that every professional should stop doing immediately from a fashion standpoint, in your opinion, if you've got one gripe with people that you see professionally these days?
Stop chasing trends. It's important to know what's going on in the fashion world, right? Colors, fits, but not everybody can wear Justin Bieber's clothes.
Sure.
Like the big oversized look of this jacket right now, it's a trend. And people see you and you're wearing a trend and it shows that you don't look, it's not, it fits the 20-year-old, okay? Like there are certain people that can, or the really creatives. I'm not saying everybody can't wear that, but typically the people that we're talking to right now, is and I had this conversation with someone in LFG, and he was like, "Oh, good," because I was trying to, like, buy stuff that was off the rack, and, like, it just didn't fit my personality, and it just, like yeah, don't chase trends. When you know your style, style never goes out,
Mm,
and just pay attention to the fabric too,
right.
because good quality fabric also sends messages. When something's, like, cheap looking or fast fashion or all of this, like, things that going on in the world that's ruining the actual fashion world, just pay attention to those things. Yeah.
Okay. So much to like, with what LFG Energy is about, which is sometimes a different output creates a shift.
Mhm.
You've seen, I'm sure, plenty of shifts in people when something does finally click, like whether it's a makeover, if you will. I know I'm being too casual about it, but maybe you do take someone who's tragically dressed for some time. You do this makeover. What is that energy shift that you notice in people? Or maybe there's a specific story of a client or someone you worked with where you did this 180 with them. Like,
Yeah.
what was it that caused it? What did you do? And how did you see them showing up in the world after that?
No, it's a great question. First, I just wanna say that I went through this myself,
Okay.
and this is why this work is so important to me because it's, like, in my core, in my heart. For years I'm just gonna touch on this, like, really quick so you
Please.
can
No, no.
understand. For years, I was looked at sexually my whole life. In college, I was a dancer through school. That's how I paid through school, uh, a stripper. And, since that time in my life, it was like especially for young women and being in that industry, it's like, "Oh, how big are your boobs? Oh, wear shorter, tighter clothes," right? And so after I left that industry, after I graduated and got my degree and moved on to the next part of my life, I stopped dressing in any way that was, like, cute or sexy because I didn't want to be taken for my looks. I wanted people to know I have a brain, I'm smart, like, see Celeste, don't see my body.
Hmm.
Don't see the color of my hair. I used to be blonde. Don't see all the things, it was just like the looks, the looks, the looks. And so I went from dressing very revealing, and then I went to dressing very covered up or very plain, like simple. And so I went from one extreme to the other, and I was like, that was also hurting me. And so when I was able to like really dive in and do some inner work, right? Because it wasn't just my clothes. It was like, okay, no, I want to be taken seriously, but I'm also going to be authentic in the way that I dress. And I realized that I'm a suit girl, that I like some dresses, but I'm not a big dress girl. And that's okay. I didn't want to become masculine in this world that I was trying to come up in this entrepreneur world. But I found myself, and I just want and I was able to move the needle for me because people saw that I was authentic. And so I have so many client stories, but I wanna share a story. A young man that was 22 years old, he came to me about 6 months ago, and he was like, "Celeste, I know what you do, I need your help. I have a job interview I need to prepare for, like a really important job interview." And I said, "Okay, like, let's start the process, like, how long do you have?" He's like, "I've got 2 days." And I was like, "Oh, okay, just so you know, guys, it takes a lot longer than that, but he was a really good friend, a family friend. So I said, "All right, let's go. Let's get your colors done." We found us power colors. I took him to Suit Supply because they had some options and
Sure.
did some semi like tailoring there. And it wasn't just that what we did. So we got his outfit ready, but we worked on his handshake. I worked on eye contact because this young man was very introverted, very, very smart. and I knew he could go in there if he presented like he owned it. And then I taught him how to take up space in a room with very powerful people. And so 5 days later, I get a phone call and he says, "Celeste, not only did I get a job, I walked out with a stake in the company." Because that man walked in there, that young man, so confident, feeling like so great in his skin, and he practiced with me enough that he was able to go in there and ask for a piece of a company. I was like, "What?" It's so powerful when you can walk in and feel like you belong in a room.
Amazing. And I mean, that's the shift,
Yeah,
right? And that's what so many of us look for. But I wanted to ask you that. So I'm glad you shared that in
yeah,
terms of when that actually happened. In life and, in professional development, there's a lot of setbacks and things.
yeah,
And the big essence of, a big part of LFG energy is resilience
yeah.
and how people come back. Have there been things in your professional life or in this journey? I know you already touched on that personal story, right? Of
Mhm.
like how you didn't want to be seen or objectified maybe in a certain way or like
Right.
in your looks. So you would actually go the opposite and almost downplay it. And then you had to find harmony. But were there parts of your professional journey where there have been major setbacks, maybe something you're going through now or even
Yeah.
currently, where you're having to tap into some resilience to really press ahead?
So about 2 years ago, right before I met you, I, used to date coach as well, and I was trying to I've always been an image consultant, and that was, like, the foundation of my business, and when I started to work with men that were single because I did some matchmaking in my past too, and I just really wanted to fit a niche that was so needed,
Yep.
what I thought was needed. I even did my first podcast on it and had great guests, but something still wasn't landing, and I did this for 3 years. So I had to really get real with myself and say, like, why isn't this popping off? Why is this not really like resonating? And even when I watched my old reels and the video I was doing, man, did I look fake. Like I didn't like no wonder people couldn't connect with me because it wasn't my in my soul.
Hmm.
So I had to drastically kill her. She died.
Okay.
And
Rest in peace.
yeah, and I had to say, okay, what is it that really brings me joy? What gets me out of bed every day? And it's really that transformation of watching someone discover who they are, like from their inner soul, personality, and bringing that on their outer appearance, like their best self. So it's really authentic to them. And then watching them move the needle in their business, like that's where I wanted to go. And then not just to say that, but I started to, get into the speaking world, podcasting, so I started working with speakers, founders, the people in our, mastermind who were the expert and they were so great at it, but they really needed to, they didn't know. They didn't know that they were showing up in a certain way until they started to, talk to me and have conversations. But I think for me, it was like, "Oh, I should still be in a place of after doing this for so long," right? Because you do these little tweaks. You like, "Oh, can I add this? Can I do this? Can I just be more of service to people?" And that was just the wrong move for me, and I had to get real with myself, and I ended that podcast. I totally rebranded, and once I did that, truly, people started commenting on my reels and my posts, and they're like, "Oh my god, Celeste, this is this new thing that you're doing is so great." And I'm like, "I was doing this for so long and no one saw it
Hmm.
because I wasn't showing that," right? So, it was really exciting and interesting and almost like, wow, if you don't show up authentically who you are and purposeful every day with your business, that translates personally too, then people see it.
They do. Yeah. That's powerful. And the reinvention, or like how you had to
Mhm.
kind of reboot, like
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs face.
Yeah.
They're scrapping an old image or went down a pathway, it's not working out. For people that are on Zoom, which we're in a Zoom world these days, is there style, image, or like some type of energetic advice you have for people that are doing a lot of Zoom things? I feel like people take it so casual that, and it's easy to do it because people get forgiven. You're in your home or you're in your home office, so I'll just take it. But are there tips that you have for people that live a Zoom life and
Mm.
how they show up?
Oh my god, yes.
Okay. All right. Good.
So just imagine Zoom is like any other stage. So you've got lighting, you've got cameras. So stay away from any shiny fabric because that will just distort people. Like people get distracted. You can look bigger than you are even. Stay away from any prints, especially stripes, because they can come across as zigzags
Hmm.
and people get like dizzy from it.
Totally.
Yeah. So those are just a couple things, but I would stay away from I guess for women to put a little bit of, like, darker makeup on. I don't mean come across as, like, totally inauthentic, but you get washed out with the light. So, make sure that you know these things. If you wear anything, like, with a collar, it doesn't have to be a sport coat,
Yeah.
but, like, a button-up shirt or, like, a collar, it's more professional than no collar.
Okay.
And then just keep in mind, like, what are you wearing on top? Like, even accessories and things. Just you wanna keep people, like, away from being distracted, because really you wanna hear the intentionality. You wanna know what they're saying. You wanna pay attention, and that's, like, on any stage. So, I would just and then know your background. So, like, in my home office, I have a dark navy office. One day, I made the mistake of wearing the same color jacket, like navy, and I'm like, I just washed out." So know your background, like, what are you putting out? And then a couple things, the fake background that people put up, like, it looks like you're hiding something and people don't trust you more. Also, there's an interesting way to stay, like, with the camera, like, have a slight angle
Okay.
because anything that's interesting keeps people focused.
It's good advice,
Yeah.
really good advice. And I think everybody listening can definitely take something from that. Okay, one more quick hitting one because a lot of people, in this essence of what we were just talking about with being online and how we show up on Zoom, a lot of people date online, right?
Mm.
They use dating apps, they use dating websites, and they finally have an in person date scheduled. Is there one bit of advice for a certain look? And I know everyone's different, but maybe like either a do or a don't that you would have for men and for women.
Okay, so they met online. Have they okay,
And this is gonna be their first in-person date.
first in-person date.
Yeah.
Okay. Be comfortable.
Okay.
Don't wear anything, again, too crazy. Like, if you're just a crazy person and you just wanna let it all out, like, that should be in your profile. So know that, like, you are the same person on that profile with your pictures as you are on that date, right? You don't wanna to really
Right.
is it like, "Okay, I got catfished." I mean, even in that sense. So just be authentic, be real, be honest. But as far as what to wear, just keep it, like, real to you, authentic to you, and dress up a little bit because women dress up for the guys. We'll spend hours doing our hair, our makeup, we might even go get a new outfit, we'll get our nails done. And what the thing with working with men for so many years in the dating area, it's like they just like throw some schleppy outfit on or
It's tough.
whatever, and they just show up.
It's terrible.
Have intention. Know that that person that you're going to meet wants to see you, but like a little refined you. So pay
Sure.
attention to your grooming, brush your teeth, like all these things that maybe you're just like, I'm just going to go meet and just see what happens.
So you hear that, guys? Like, if you're still single and dating's been tough, brush your teeth. That's the takeaway, right? If you brush your teeth, the date might turn out dramatically different. So that's really important. Celeste, I want to go shift into personal like a little bit because I know you have a daughter and we've talked about it a lot
Yeah.
because you always comment on my daughters who are at the opposite and like they're younger and I'm going to be getting a lot of advice from you over the years. And you've raised your daughter for much of her life on your own, right?
All of her life.
Her entire life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of single moms in the world, and you've clearly done some things right, a lot of things right, because you've raised a daughter and she's turned out great, right? I haven't met her.
Alive.
Yeah, she's alive. She made it. Um, Talk to me about that because that's a lot of there's a lot of resilience in that, right? I mean, we even with as a two-parent household, I try and we're like, wow, how are we holding it together? And then I think about how do single moms do it? Or single I know there are some single dads, but how do single moms do it? Like,
Right.
how did you do it? And talk to me about the resilience in that journey.
It wasn't my plan to be a single parent. And actually, I like to use the term sole parent because single parent can mean you share custody.
Right.
The other parent has some type of financial burden and, fills these other elements to raising children. I had none of that. Um, my daughter's father and I were together. We weren't married because I'd been married and done that, and it wasn't really important to me at that time. But I found out he had a drug problem. Like, I knew he dabbled here and there, but to the extent where he was one of those people that could hide it
Mm,
until he couldn't hide it anymore. And, he was living with us, we were family for the first month of her birth. So he got to see his daughter and he loved her very much, but he couldn't cope as an individual himself. He was so broken and so addicted and so many things, right? Just so much trauma. And when it became abusive, at that moment, like, I never knew what mama bear was. I was always a little bit like that with my siblings, but something completely overtook me and I was like, ended everything. Now, not to the point where there was no communication, but um, many, many times did I give him chances to go get yourself, go to rehab, do the things. Like, you have this beautiful human that could be a part of your life. So I would meet him a couple times within, I would say, the first 2 years of her life, maybe 5 times, like at a park or somewhere neutral, thinking, okay, maybe he'll get himself together. Maybe he'll get himself together. And this was everybody's MO with him in his life, like giving him more chances and more chances. And I just completely was like, I'm done. And so I tried to take her out of the country. This is how it all happened, to my best friend's wedding in Spain. She wanted her to be the flower girl. And she was 5 years old at the time. Mind you, this all ended of her seeing him at all when she was 2, the last moment of her life. And the lawyer says, you need to terminate rights because he technically is on the birth certificate and could come at any point and take your daughter, and you don't know if he's high. You don't know where that's going to lead to. And so I went through a very painful process of terminating rights, and I was successful at it. Um, But it was one of the most difficult times in my life, just having to relive and experience the trauma that was never fully healed. So, it's really sad because my daughter would really cry for him because she would remember these little moments when she was 18 months with him because he was the happy guy, right? Giving her a few stuffed animals, and that was the participation that he gave to his daughter, which is it's sad, and it really broke me because as a parent, it was the only thing I couldn't give her, and but all I could do and all I could give her was me, was my family, because she didn't even ever see his family again, so was always us, but for that was really important to me. I took on to make sure that she had the best life emotionally. I wanted to be there for physically. I wanted to be there actively and raise her. I wanted to give her everything that I didn't, like we all do as parents. So I did everything. I sacrificed and I survived. I was in survival mode. I want to say just to a couple years ago. And it was slow, right? It was slowly progressing into as she got older, like, okay, Celeste, you need to start doing things for yourself.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's the best thing in the world. She's 18 now, and she's getting ready to go to college, and I she's my world, she's my life, she's my family, and I'm so grateful I was able to, be her parent and still be her parent. Just because she's 18, she's not gone. But that perseverance and was never a question in my mind. It was never like, I'm just gonna, like, not raise my kid, or I'm not gonna not do the things. It was, like, always sure, always going to be the best that I could do for her,
Yeah.
no matter what, and also provide, and I was always a business owner. So but I was always, barely getting by, barely getting by, barely getting by, and that's the survival. But every day, getting up knowing that she was my why.
Yeah.
And that also although she's still my why, that shifted as she got older because I needed to start looking at myself like, who are you at this point in your life? What do you want? Not just for your business, but who are you as an individual? And I think as entrepreneurs, we constantly need to look at ourselves and re-examine and change those things. So she's very much a part of my why, but there's something way more deep seated for me so that I can be this amazing person in my life.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure she's really proud of you, and we all are. And even as your friend
Thank you.
hearing that story, and you should be proud of yourself. But
Thank you.
look, bringing it back to the show. That's what LFG energy is. Yeah, it's hard. It's going to be very tough, but I do it anyways,
Mhm.
right? Because I have to, I want to. This is my job. This is my responsibility. This
Yeah.
person's counting on me, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And you did.
Yeah.
So congrats to you. She's off to college. Job done.
Yeah.
Yeah. During that time when when we all have responsibilities as professionals in our personal life, there's parts of our professional life that can fall by the wayside, and then you can sometimes feel like down about it. You can get, be upset with yourself. It's maybe even be like a little, I don't want to say you're never resentful at that thing, but you can kind of fall into that, like, God, like if only I could just have a little more time, or if only I didn't have to always be doing all this stuff. What's your advice for entrepreneurs or people that are working that have their personal lives and they're trying to find this harmony between that and their working life? And just, like, know that sometimes things just go by the wayside and it's okay, right? Like, be kind to yourself. But what's your advice to them?
Yeah. I would suggest if I knew how to get into rooms with people that I could learn from, that were more successful, that I could offer something, that has been key to where I'm at right now. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have like any guidance. I just figured it out as some of us do. And still to this day, right? We still figure it out what works, what doesn't, and have like that community of other people that are going through the same thing. Just having that person on the phone, the message you send me, like your 10-second message just to say hello, how you doing? Just that connection right there means the world to people, to me. That's really helped me just like, you make my day, So it's like, have those people that can support you because community is everything. And we're going to have those tough days. Or maybe we just need a phone call just to be like, yo, do you know like how to do this? Or do you know someone who does? And I think that that's when I look at you, you're such a beautiful human. You're such that unicorn that is everybody sees it. It's not just me, it's everyone in your circle. And when you can find those people like you, it makes the needle move. It makes you're not alone. Like we're gonna have tough days, we're gonna get off, we're gonna brush it off. Let's pivot, and also be open-minded to knowing that like things constantly change.
Yeah.
And what you thought might be your success might be completely different in 6 months, in a year. And know that, like, you just constantly have to grow, and the evolution is where you're gonna be successful.
That's beautifully put. And you've been part of like this LFG space, and I appreciate the kind words. It means a lot. But you've been part of my LFG space in a way, like you've attended events, we've done a lot of things together. And I ask every guest this, which there's no right or wrong answer for at the end of each show. Like, what does LFG energy mean to you?
I mean, really, it's like, life is short, let's fucking go, and I know that's what it stands for, but for me, it's like I think it's like, Celeste, you're important too. It's not just being a mom, like, you as an individual matter.
Hmm.
So go do the things, say yes, take the action, see what you like, see what you don't like, and just, like, embrace it and just go full speed. Because what do you have to lose? The things that you're not gonna do on that day because maybe you said no, every time I said yes, I always gain something. I gain a connection, I meet a good human, I learn something. It's always benefited me.
All right. That's a great answer. It's a really good answer. And listen, guys, if you have taken anything from this, how we show up in the world is so important. This all ties to LFG energy because your look, your feel, your confidence, your resilience, the things that you've bounced back from, they're part of the energy that you put out into the world, which is a big part of your reputation. And Celeste embodies that. When you meet her in person, she radiates it. She's a walking story of resilience in her own way. And you heard through her amazing story today. And I'm just really grateful to call you a friend. And I'm so grateful that we met this last year. So we're going to keep doing great things together. Uh, and I know you are and how you show up in the professional world. So we're all lucky to know you and call you that.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us time today, Celeste. We'll do it again because style, trends, things are always changing.
Yes.
And there's more tragic cases out there of men not brushing their teeth. So we're going to have plenty to talk about in the future. But thanks for taking time with us today.
Thanks so much.
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.